fair at all.
All right, Frank Tufano going fucking insane. Yeah, so his lawsuit with Paul Saladino is not going well, and it seems like he's going to owe Paul a big chunk of money.
Lying, cheating, and stealing is one thing, and what these people have done to my life is just unforgivable, and that's the reason they censor and shadow ban me so much, is because if people knew my story and knew the truth about what happened to me, I would have more support than any of these secret society degenerates have ever had in their lives. You know, the only tools they have is their control of social media, because if it was fair at all,
Remember, when he says secret society, he's talking about Jews. That's what he means.
they'd be at the bottom of the list. You know, lying, cheating, and stealing is nothing compared to how evil these people are and what they're willing to do. And calling them a bunch of selfish lunatics is probably a compliment compared to how they truly are. So I'm going to read the court judgment issued by Freeman corrupt shill Nelson Stephen Roman in order to protect his Freeman naughty buddy Paul Saladino. So I'm ordered to not make public statements that Paul Saladino copied, plagiarized, stole, or otherwise improperly used defendants or any other third party's work. Yeah, that was my fault. It was just a coincidence that Paul Saladino was saying the exact same phrases that I was.
So he's already violating the court order.
Several months and years later. I understand that now. I apologize. I was wrong. He just happened to say the exact same thing several months later on several dozen occasions, and he just happened to have the same business ideas as me, coincidentally, several months after I had all.
Yeah, so he's already violating the court order. It's obvious he's being sarcastic, and he's, again, reaffirming the statements he made that were proven to be untrue in court, that he was ordered not to say.
All of them. It was just a big coincidence and misunderstanding.
This was posted a day ago. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up deleting this at some point.
The patient abuses prescription or illegal drugs, improperly or illegally manipulates social media, or engages in any inappropriate sexual activity. So this is really ridiculous, where I made a few statements that were obviously jokes and satire, and the court is trying to take them seriously. It's just completely stupid, and it's really impeding my freedom of. All of this is impeding my freedom of speech. This is protected speech. If you have an opinion or what you think about someone, you say something, it's protected speech. If you think there's any truth to it or any factor at all, it's.
He has. It's just amazing. This was already fought in court, so this would have been explained to him. You can have an opinion, but some opinions are like, truth apt. Like, you can have an opinion that somebody's a child rapist. Like, you could think, based on, I don't know, circumstantial evidence that you think somebody raped a child. But if you claim somebody raped a child, but they did not, in fact, rape a child, that's not protected speech. So, so just because something's an opinion, that doesn't make it automatically protected speech. If you accuse somebody of committing some kind of crime or wrongdoing, that is still libel if you're not able to actually provide evidence for that case. Like, if you can't prove it and it turns out it's not true, then that's libel. You can't just say somebody's a child rapist. And by the way, the big reason that Frank is being sued by Paul is because he accused him of being a child rapist. That's the whole motivation for this lawsuit.
This is the main issue with this judgment, is it's impeding my freedom of speech, and it should never have been allowed in the first place. But this is what these secret society losers do when you try to expose them for what they did to you. They make the truth and the facts illegal. So, hey, Frank Tufano, Paul Saladino just gets his Freemason judge buddy to shut Frank Tufano up so that he can make millions of dollars. Yeah, so then he made me remove all of my YouTube content. Yeah, so this is how evil this guy Paul Saladino is. This is how evil this guy is. Industry plant, literally sent to ruin my life. And after all this stuff he's done to me and bullcrap he's gotten away with, his buddies continue to use the court system to ruin my life. This is what they do. In general, not Paul Saladino. Paul Saladino has never stolen or plagiarized anything from me. However, in general, other Freemason and Illuminati people like Jake Levy stole my Best Bar idea, copied all of my ingredients, and they just censor and shadow ban me while he makes millions of dollars off of my...
This is so weird. Copied my ingredients. Like, look at any chocolate bar. You know, like, oh, chocolate, caramel, you know, sugar, you know, like, they're all the fucking same. It's just, like, so bizarre how he... And then he copies fucking, like, what? He copied the Twix bar, he copied Oreos, he copied Pop-Tarts. He's literally selling them as Twix, Oreos, and Pop-Tarts on his website. Like, this guy's the biggest hypocrite.
Products and my ideas. That's what these people do. All of these original ideas and things I came up with, like using mastic gum as chewing gum. Who knows how much money that guy Gum of Gods made. Literally stealing and plagiarizing my idea. You know, the honey for bears thing.
No, he thinks he invented mastic gum?
Copying my honey ice cream. These people have made millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, Frank invented ice cream too. Oh, wow. That's incredible. I didn't know Frank had the idea for ice cream.
Off of my creative ideas. And they might not be punished now, but when they leave this planet, what are they going to say? So this might be a little long of a video because the report and recommendation is so long, but this was done by the magistrate judge, Judith C. McCarthy, and women are not allowed to be Freemasons as far as I understand. So female judges are usually in the Illuminati. I mean, it's kind of like, what's the saying? Two limbs from the same tree? I can't remember what the saying is, but
pro tip for anybody who ever gets into legal trouble. Do not start being antagonistic to the judge and making them your enemy. It does not help you. He's accusing the judge of being part of the Illuminati and is part of some, like, grand conspiracy plot. Dodo $22
basically, they're in the club, they're members of the elite, taking orders from the same person. So the fact that she's even writing a report and recommendation is ridiculous because there's about 5 motions filed by myself that have not been ruled on. And there's also an active case in the Court of Appeals. And there's 2 motions to stay. There's 1 motion to stay the case in the district court, and there's a motion to stay the case in the appeals court. And the fact that she's writing this report and recommendation to issue it.
That doesn't sound like something you can do. Isn't an appeals court for something that's already being ruled on? So that sounds like he's not filing things right.
With judgment against me is just proof that they're a bunch of corrupt shills that don't follow court procedure, and it's very obvious what's going on here. You know, the rules don't apply to them. They write all these rules and legal procedures that you're supposed to follow, but they don't have to follow them. They don't have to follow them. They're going to screw you over either way. If it works for them, they'll use them. If not, too bad. So I already filed an objection to this report and recommendation, but I'm going to just explain to you guys how BS this is. So 1A is factual background, and Saladino claims I'm one of his competitors and owner of a food delivery business, and that I promote my own nutritional therapy services. First of all, I'm not his competitor because I was doing this years before he was, and he's not even present in the space. Calling him a competitor to me doesn't make any sense because...
Then why were you complaining about him? Dodo Donatello's week.
Because all of my businesses and things were established way before he even started social media. So that's a little bit misleading. On a defamatory website, Tufano posted sexually graphic and homophobic imagery while trashing Saladino's reputation with absolutely no foundation. I mean, if we're being factual here, Paul Saladino posted an Instagram video of himself tanning his butthole with another man.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Ow, 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 show them, girl, yeah. Oh,
Frank might have a point there. Thoughts don't...
Option, but to put the dog...
Maybe all the animals will also be there that Frank killed. Smiley face emoji, cool face emoji, steamer locomotive emoji, dancer emoji, musical notes emoji.
Well, they definitely can't show up to his court case if they're dead, unfortunately. But hopefully they will get some justice. Thanks for the donation, James.
Sup Richard. Frank actually looks law resolution IRL. It's insane. I almost feel bad for him now that he's obviously mental.
I don't feel bad for Frank. He's a piece of shit. He deserves everything that's coming to him.
ow, show them, girl, yeah.
So that's a factual statement.
Alright, well, Frank may have a point there. I think where he crossed the line is when he accused Paul of having inappropriate sexual relations with underage boys. But yeah, Paul has done some gay shit on social media, apparently.
I'm not allowed to say that Paul Saladino engages in any inappropriate sexual activity, but I don't think that's sexual activity. I think he's just getting some vitamin D on his butthole next to another man who's getting vitamin D on his butthole. That's a fact. That's a matter of fact. And to say that with absolutely no foundation, I mean, come on. How ridiculous are we going to be here, you know?
No, I haven't played Ready or Not.
How ridiculous is this judge going to be? Defendant never answered the amended complaint because defendant was never served the amended complaint. And Paul Saladino's lawyer, David Lynn, filed a fraudulent affidavit of service, which is enough grounds to dismiss this case. There's probably 10
Links guy, don't need
different court misconduct and legal malpractice reasons that this case should be dismissed, and they're not doing any of them. It's completely ridiculous. Defendants never answered the amended complaint. Yeah, because, again, David Lynn, this crooked lawyer that this judge is just bending over backwards for, commits perjury with his affidavit of service. Judge Roman denied defendant's motion to vacate the entry of default, in part that defendants were properly served and that defendant's default was willful. I mean, it's pretty difficult to prove that I was properly served when the address on the affidavit of service is my parents' house and not my house. That's just factually incorrect. It was not properly served. It's an example.
Yeah, so, Frank put his business address as his parents' address. And I'm pretty sure that was like the only address that they had access to, like that they could possibly know. So he's basically admitting that he's the one who fucked up. If his business address is his parents' address and then he moved out of his parents' house and he's not collecting mail from them, he can't fucking say, oh, well, I was never served. I have the wrong address on my thing. So he's just full of shit. Kid booted until
of court misconduct. It's completely ridiculous. These people are a bunch of liars. Judge Roman held that defendants failed to provide any underlying facts or allegations to support their conclusory contentions that Tufano's statements about plaintiff are true or genuine. They're literally hours and hours of YouTube content, like, that he had deleted. I wonder why. Basically, throughout the 5 years this case has been ongoing, judge has not allowed me to defend myself in any capacity, has denied all of my motions. It's just completely crazy. There's, dozens and dozens of motions that have been filed, and the judge has denied every single one of mine. I wonder why. I'm literally the victim.
You're insane.
The whole premise of this is that this guy was allegedly, Tufano posted a video on his YouTube.
It shows his narcissistic personality disorder. Like, if every single court case you ever have, you end up having some issue with a judge where they won't listen to you, or they explain to you you did something wrong, or what you're arguing for doesn't make any sense. Maybe you take a hint and figure, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong, or maybe I'm doing something that's not right. No. Oh, they're all against me. Oh, they're part of the Illuminati.
YouTube channel. And Tufano stated during the video, maybe you should join the rat in Costa Rica. I'm sure he has plenty of teenage boys to go around.
Yeah.
I believe the legal sex age in Costa Rica is 15 or 16, so I'm not sure how that matters at all. It's legal.
Yeah, so he's admitting, again, he's just incriminating himself. Oh my God, dude. This is about criminal libel. So obviously, well, I don't know if it's criminal libel. I guess this is civil libel. If you're accusing somebody of having inappropriate sexual relationships with 15 or 16-year-old boys, it doesn't matter if it's technically legal in Costa Rica. What matters is this guy has a business in the United States, and just internationally, that sort of thing would not be socially acceptable at all. A grown man in his late 30s or early 40s having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old boy. So him saying, oh, well, I think it's legal in Costa Rica, so what's the issue? The issue is you're saying something that isn't true that would harm his reputation and also potentially harm his business. So he's just incriminating himself and admitting, oh yeah, well, I accused him of these things.
How is it inappropriate? To each his own. The affidavits and other documentary evidence submitted by plaintiff in this instant action provide a sufficient basis from which the court can reasonably ascertain damages on the remaining claims, and therefore no hearing is required. He's unable to prove damages because he's made millions and millions of dollars over these past few years. Anything I say about this guy is censored or shadow banned, so no one really found out about it anyway. Otherwise, how would Paul Saladino have tens of millions of followers across all social media platforms while I've had the same amount of followers for the past 5 years now? He cannot prove damages because he has profited immensely off of his scheme. Effect of dissolved corporation. Tufano argues that damages should not be awarded against defendants because he does not currently own or operate any online stores under his personal name or that of the corporate defendant. Based on public records, Frankie's Strange Meat was dissolved on August 31st. Tufano admits that he voluntarily dissolved the company after the instant lawsuit was commenced. So this judge is now lying. The company was...
For real, nigga.
An instant lawsuit was commenced. After the instant lawsuit, plaintiff asserts that even if the company was dissolved, defendants remain jointly and severely liable for the claims in this case. I don't really understand what the judge is trying to do here. The judge is saying that me and Frankie Strange Me are liable for this judgment. Now, Frankie Strange Me in this context is my business that was shut down in New York. So I don't know what they're trying to do here. It's long gone. We're not in the Bronx anymore. That business is completely shut down and bankrupt. FFRM can be liable for actions that occurred before its dissolution. This is the biggest issue. And this is another way the case should be dismissed. Any judge would not have allowed my business to be added to the case because it has no subject matter jurisdiction. The business was started after this lawsuit was commenced. And Frankie Strange Meat as a business has absolutely nothing to do with this lawsuit. Absolutely nothing. It's insane that a judge would even allow the business to be added on. And then for this judge to say that
he literally uploaded the shit to his YouTube channel while promoting his Frankie's free range meat business. So yeah, I'm not a legal expert, but sounds like it's related to me.
my business committed actions against him, it's fucking crazy. Another complete reason to dismiss this case. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so if I'm remembering correctly, Frank got the domain name for like paulsaladino.com. He, on that website, accused Paul of having sex with underage children, gay sex with underage children, to be specific. And then he linked to his Frankie's Free Range Meat website. So it sounds to me like this is related.
So Paul Saladino is requesting $100,000 in damages for a cyber piracy claim.
Nighty night, Isolus.
Which is the maximum. Because I used the domain name willfully and maliciously to defame Saladino while using Saladino's name to promote defendants' own businesses. Absolutely not true. The domain name contained defamatory content and linked to defendant's YouTube channel. It's a public website. It's hosting a public YouTube channel. Plaintiff lost revenue because of defendant's use of the domain name. Never been proven. There is a high need for deterrence because Tufano uploaded defamatory, homophobic, and sexually graphic images on the site and bought the domain name specifically to attack plaintiff. Is hosting a YouTube video, is hosting a public domain on a website name not allowed that was legally purchased. This is completely ridiculous. Tufano.
This has already been explained to him. You can't buy a domain name of somebody's name, pose as that person or their business, and then upload defamatory statements about them. This has already been explained to him, so he's just lying. He's acting ignorant, but this is all being explained to him.
Willfully created the domain name to tarnish plaintiff's reputation and drive sales for his own business. I purchased that domain name to protect my life's work and research. Everything I worked for the 5 or 6 years on YouTube.
That's a lie. He bought the domain name for paulsaladino.com to defame Paul and accuse him of being a gay child sex rapist. And he linked to his Frankie's Free Range Meat website.
YouTube, doing videos almost every day. Everything I worked so hard for. I explained what was happening. That's why I purchased that website. This has nothing to do. I'm not trying to tarnish someone's reputation. I'm telling the fucking truth. If telling the fucking truth tarnishes your reputation, you belong in the fucking free basement and drive sales for his own business. Fucking prove it. Fucking prove it. You have no proof.
He linked to his Frankie's Free Range Meat website with a fucking fake website he made.
Whatsoever. And I guarantee you, if anything, me making that website and publishing those videos caused me to lose business, because anything negative makes you lose business. If I wanted to make money and just promote my business, I would not have even said a word about this guy ever on my YouTube channel. I felt I had a moral obligation.
Yeah, right. I deliberately lost money for no reason. Okay.
Does Isaac stay home?
To defend what I worked so hard for. Bunch of fucking liars and thieves. Even after Judge Roman ordered defendants to remove defamatory content from online, defendants failed to promptly comply. They were mad that someone else re-uploaded my videos. For months and months and months, this dickhead complained to the court about YouTube videos that were on someone else's channel. This little stuff that these morons don't realize and then penalize me for is fucking disgusting. Like, are you too stupid that you don't even realize that the video defaming your client is on a different YouTube channel? Has recently reiterated that the statements he made are truthful. Thus, the court finds that Tufano acted willfully and maliciously, and the need for deterrence is high. Bunch of crooks. Accordingly, I respectfully recommend awarding plaintiff the statutory maximum of $100,000 for plaintiff's cyber piracy claim. It's fucking crazy. The domain was available on Namecheap, and I purchased it fairly. How is that cyber piracy? Plaintiff seeks statute.
Again, this is already being explained to him. You can't just buy like the domain, I don't know, like let's say for whatever reason the domain walmart.com is up for sale. You can't buy walmart.com and then like make a bunch of posts about like the Walmart CEO being a gay child rapist. You're posing as a business or like entity or somebody who you aren't, and then making libelous statements about them. You can't do that.
Unlawful registration of domain name. Plaintiff seeks statutory damages for defendant's unlawful registration of the domain name under blah, blah, blah. How is it unlawful registration? The domain name was active under defendant's control and displayed defamatory content. So they don't award for that because there's no private right of action. Again, they keep calling these videos defamatory, but if telling the truth is defamatory, then too bad. It is clear on the record that the primary reason that Tufano made the defamatory statements, first of all, you're referring to me saying that someone copied me as defamatory. I mean, and I had adequate proof that I was being copied, so it's not defamatory. Like, this is ridiculous. So you guys probably understand, but they're basically saying me making a website to defend myself against this guy is defamatory, which is like saying this guy. This is like, imagine if he mugged me on the street and then I made a video complaining that he mugged me. Like, that's what they're doing here. They're saying, oh no, don't say bad stuff about him. He might have mugged you, but if you say that, it's defamatory. It's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. They're just trying to turn the story on me. This is disgusting how far Saladino's tongue is up this joke. This is what these do. They just do whatever they want. They're allowed to lie, cheat, and steal as much as they want. Tufano's particularly reprehensible conduct. These people are... This is exactly what the New York made an anti-slap law about a year after this case was filed. And I did file special motion to strike because all of this is all freedom of speech. This is protected speech. None of this is defamation. Yeah, so then they awarded $80,000 in attorney's fees, and man, did this head lawyer, David Lynn, take this guy for a ride. He took him for a ride. And that has a lot to do with this. Saladino really hates me, and he wanted to just like, he's like, oh, I'll pay whatever it is to shut this guy up. 80 grand. They probably spend more than that. Yeah, then they try to justify him spending $80,000 on this case when I probably spent like less than $9,000 in attorney fees. So it's ridiculous that they're going to even try to justify that. Like, if there was a slight discrepancy, okay, you could justify, okay, maybe $80,000 was justified on this case, but no, I spent $9,000. He spent $80,000. Who's getting jerked around here? Him. His lawyer jerked him around, substantially overcharged him. Who missed whatever corrupt BS is going on, for this judge to allow such a blatant it's completely stupid. Yeah, this is just more disgusting and corruption. You know, you guys know the truth. This evil jerk off industry plant. Let me go grab my response so I can explain the cyber piracy stuff more. It's still unbelievable to me how this case is still going on and that it hasn't been dismissed for. I mean, there's 5 concrete reasons minimum to dismiss this case. You know, 1, the lack of proper service, for the perjury committed for the affidavits, like all of the court and judicial misconduct and blatantly ridiculous stuff, the tortious interference and ruining my life. Like, it's so ridiculous that these jerk offs are pushing this, and I will spend, I don't care what they do, I'll spend every day the rest of my life exposing these people on social media, because it's all I can do. It's all I can do. And I said this in the beginning. There's amended complaint, motion to disqualify, demand for jury trial, special motion to strike, motion to stay. There's 5 motions that have not been ruled on that this judge should be making recommendations on. Instead, she just ignored all of them and made her own BS report on how Paul Saladino should get money. And so I objected to the factual background, which is incorrect. They're trying to claim that I offered services on that website and cyber piracy, that the domain was unlawfully registered. It was purchased on Namecheap.com. The domain was freely open and available, and I never answered the amended complaint because it was not properly served. We said that. Yeah, objection to legal standards. Plaintiff Paul has not proved he has suffered any damages, and all legal fees spent in this action were used to maliciously and horrifically harass me. Objection to damages and cyber piracy. Frank Tufano did not register a domain name similar to another party's trademark. Plaintiff Paul Saladino operates under the trademark Carnivore MD and in no way, shape, or form used his personal name to advertise his business services at the time of this lawsuit, nor did he register any trademark under his personal name or any name similar to the domain name Tufano to host a publicly available YouTube video. The key aspects of cyber piracy are intent to profit. Frank Tufano did not attempt to sell and did not make any monetary benefits from this domain name. Domain name similarity. Paul Saladino was using the trademark Carnivore MD, which is not similar in any way, shape, or form to paulsaladino.com. I'm sure if Paul intended to use his name, he would have purchased the domain before me, because he was on social media for years and the domain name was still available. There were no provable damages to Paul Saladino as a result of this domain registration, nor did Frank Tufano profit in any way from the use of this domain, paulsaladino.com. It's a really, and that's their main claim. Their main claim is completely dismissed because cyber piracy is a bullshit claim. Acting like I stole the website and ruined someone's life, it's fucking stupid. Domain was available for 3 years while you were jerking off with the name Carnivore MD. And all this talk about defamation and slander and hateful speech, I was defending my own YouTube videos. It's fucking comical. Yeah, none of the statements made by Frank Tufano have been proven to be defamatory or factually incorrect. The court is taking plaintiff's accusations as a matter of fact when the legal paperwork and default judgment was never served on defendant, and the accusations in the question were never disputed. So that they can't have it both ways. They either have to give me a chance to actually defend myself and explain myself, or they have to serve the default properly. Like, it's fucking stupid. They're doing both. They didn't serve the default properly, and they're not giving me any chance to defend myself. The worst part about this is, well, definitely not the worst part about this, but another concrete reason for this case to be dismissed is the financial records that Paul Saladino's lawyer submitted aren't even from my business. That's the funniest thing to me.
Now that you are...
Like, how are they just ignoring that? It's crazy to me. It's some LLC. It's like something weird, like LLC, LYT Broth LLC. Not my LLC. I have no clue what it is. It has a few $1 million in revenue. That's what he's using as my income justification. When I have no business is not named in this lawsuit, and the judge said, yeah, that's a lot of money, so we can get it from Frank Tufano. It's like fucking brain dead shit. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. It's complete fraud and ridiculous shit. Why don't you go ask LYT Broth LLC to pay you? It's ridiculous. How is that even allowed? I just don't get it. How is this ridiculous level of fraud and perjury and lies allowed? It's like a basic thing. It's like him saying, oh, Google made $5 billion last year, so yeah, Frank Tufano has a lot of money. Like, you guys are ridiculous. And no one cares? Like, I would hope someone in the appeals court is reading it and actually has half a brain. Objections to attorney fees. There was no infringement of trademark because plaintiff never owned the trademark and never served default documents to defendant. Defendant's default cannot be willful if he was never served the paperwork at his residence or domicile. Plaintiff and the court cannot prove that Frank Tufano was served amended complaint or legal documents without committing perjury and fraud. Plaintiff Paul Saladino continued to file unnecessary actions because of his hate towards Frank Tufano. Plaintiff clearly has no financial limitations on his legal budget and used it to harass Frank Tufano, with the corrupt court system allowing the fraud and misconduct to go unchecked. Yeah, that's me just explaining that the hours are unreasonable. Frank Tufano has not violated any laws, nor did they serve him with the default judgment, and therefore Frank Tufano should not be responsible for any fees he is. They're just not playing by any rules. This whole case should be dismissed, and they should be required to refile it and file the proper court procedures. You know what happens when I try to do a legal case without serving documents to someone? The judge tells me to reserve the papers. I've been chasing that kid Jake Levry around with the Jacob bar that copied my best bar for like 3 years now. And every time I submit documents to the court, the judge says, oh, you didn't properly serve him. But you know what happens when Paul Saladino's clown attorney, David Lynn, commits perjury and files a fraudulent affidavit? Oh no, Frank Tufano's guilty. It's fucking crazy. This is what these assholes do. When the rules work for them, it's fine. You have to reserve him because you didn't properly serve him. But when they don't follow the rules, they just commit perjury and fraud and say I was served when I wasn't, and they just go with it, as if my word doesn't mean anything. There is no legitimacy to the procedural actions in this court by its servants or the legitimacy to the actions of any lawyers. It is built on perjury, fraud, and orders given to these parties free brethren, to which they no longer act as a representative of this court. This is the important thing to understand. These people are not acting as representatives of the United States as judicial officials. They are being told by their secret society buddies to rule in favor of Paul Saladino, and that is blatantly evident by the fact that not one thing I have filed has been accepted, because the oaths sworn by individuals in this lawsuit to take precedent over any obligations sworn to the United States judicial system. All parties' decisions should be regarded as fraudulent and biased, and this entire matter should be dismissed. Go figure. Good luck with that one. There is no other explanation as to why such experienced attorneys and judges are making such amateur mistakes, even committing perjury, allowing judgments to be made against individuals who have not even been served documents. There is no explanation for the judicial representatives to rule in favor of plaintiff unless they have personal obligations and favoritisms, which they do. Why else would Paul Saladino be allowed to make millions of dollars off of Frank Tufano's life's work and then further ruin his life by getting his Freemason buddy judge to silence the victim? Frank Tufano is a victim in this action and is being further harassed by the horrific and evil individuals that are in charge of this court system, who have no regards for anyone but themselves and furthering their own interests. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the main thing I'm worried about and the reason I'm fighting this so hard is because I'm worried that, something might happen to my family or my parents. I don't have any money or assets. After I saw how crooked these Freemasons and these evil people are, I just got rid of everything I own. You guys know I did a lot of giveaways. I gave everything away. I don't have any money myself. So I'm not worried about myself.
So again, we know he made $5 million in gross income in 2024. But he has no money. He said he spent another $60,000 in plastic surgeries, but he has no money.
But I'm scared because this guy Lynn sent out fraudulent affidavits. I actually filed motions to quash, claiming the affidavits were fraudulent because they were, and the judge denied my motion, of course. But if he was able to get documents from entities not named in this lawsuit using fraudulent subpoenas, what's stopping him from using a judgment fraudulently to get money from my family? That's what I'm really scared about. These people are crooked. They don't play by the rules. What's stopping them from stealing money from my family, relatives, or anyone else with a similar name or not even a similar name?
Where the fuck did that $5 million go, VG?
I have no fucking idea. No clue. Yeah, that's a mystery. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
He was able to get financial documents from a company named LYT Broth LLC. There are a few other ones too. He got financial documents from businesses not named in this lawsuit because he overreached as an attorney, and it's fucking crazy to me. So if he's able to use a fraudulent subpoena to get financial documents from any entity he wants, what's stopping him from using a judgment to get money from anyone he doesn't like? Because the people that gave him those financial documents clearly didn't read the name. They didn't even read the name on the subpoena. If they did, he wouldn't have any financial documents. So this whole thing is crazy to me, and I don't know what's going to happen. That's the main thing I'm worried about. What's stopping this guy from stealing money from my family or relatives? He's crooked as he's done it before, and that I've said this to the judge, and this whole case needs to be dismissed because it's fucking crazy. It's absolutely crazy. These people are evil. They certainly don't want to help me. They're censoring my videos. All I can do is spread the word as much as possible and hope you guys help me. I mean, the best analogy for this is like being a police officer. Shoot as many people as you want as a police officer. You're not going to jail, but you don't have that badge, you're going to be in prison the rest of your life. That's a very good analogy of what it's like being an average person versus being.
What are your thoughts on what Frank is saying?
He's insane and a liar and completely and utterly full of shit. Thanks for the donation, though, Juan. Appreciate it. So here's the court documents that Frank filed. U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. Paul Saladino, plaintiff versus Frank Tufano, Frankie's Free Range Meat, LLC. Objections to report and recommendations made by magistrate judge. Despite an active appeals court case with motions to stay and other filings that have not been ruled on, Judge Judith C. McCarthy still pushes to move this case with the continued ridiculous bias in favor of plaintiff, as no matter in this entire action has been ruled in favor of defendant. There are multiple actions that have not been decided on. The amended third-party complaint, motion to disqualify, with demand for jury trial filed on 8/14/2025. Special motion to strike filed on 8/19/2025. Motion to stay filed on 8/26. And more significantly, the current active case in the Court of Appeals that has just begun. Judge Judith C. McCarthy continues to make rulings in favor of plaintiff Ignoring blatant fraud and misconduct from plaintiff's attorneys and ignoring blatant errors made by the court. So he's directly attacking the judge in this court filing, calling her biased in favor of the plaintiff, and literally calling her a, silly, ridiculous person. Probably not a good move. This is why Frank should hire a lawyer. Objection to factual background. Frank Tufano is not one of plaintiff's competitors. Frank Tufano is an active health and nutrition influencer for many years before Paul Saladino had any online presence whatsoever. That has nothing to do with him not being a competitor. That's like saying Costco isn't a competitor to Walmart because Walmart's been around longer. Paul Saladino is a parasite attempting to steal Frank Tufano's work and become known in the space. So literally right after saying he's not a competitor, he's saying Paul is a competitor. Frank Tufano does not offer free-based therapy services in any capacity. Frank Tufano did not... Oh, free-based therapy services. I don't know what he even means by that. Frank Tufano did not make any statements what were not factual. He accused Paul of being a gay child rapist. However, did make some jokes about Paul Saladino, who are clearly intended as comedy. He literally can't even fucking spell or make a proper sentence. So now he's claiming the accusations against Paul being a gay child rapist were just a joke. Okay, that's a way of playing it. Objection to procedural history. Frank Tufano offered no services under the domain name paulsaladino.com. He linked to his free-range meat website. It was simply a page used to host a publicly available video on YouTube. Frank Tufano did not commit cyber piracy, and the domain name was never unlawfully registered. It was purchased through namecheap.com as the name was freely open and available. Defendant never answered the amended complaint because it was not properly served to him, and plaintiff committed perjury in his affidavit of service, which is proven in the appeals court case. Didn't he literally say the appeals court case is still ongoing? So that's a contradiction. Objections to legal standards. Plaintiff has not proved he has suffered any damages, and all legal fees spent in his actions were used to maliciously and horrifically harass an already financially distraught victim who could not afford his own legal representation. Oh my God. Plaintiff has made millions of dollars in revenue by promoting his products using Frank Tufano's research. You have not conducted any research, Frank, and has amassed millions of more followers than Frank Tufano on all social media pages, yet still uses his wealth to harass a person who is not being fairly represented in court. Plaintiff's ability to spend such a large amount of money on legal services demonstrates that he is not financially burdened in any capacity. That's not true. Whereas Frank Tufano has had to shut down his business in New York and no longer operates any of the entities in his lawsuit. He literally has a fucking website called Frankie's Free Range Meat. Objection to effect of dissolved corporation. Frank Tufano did not voluntarily dissolve the company because of a lawsuit. There was a separate lawsuit involving his business partner that resulted in the entire New York business operation being shut down. The business entity named in the lawsuit has no subject matter jurisdiction, as it was created after the events mentioned in this matter took place, therefore it could not be liable. Frank Tufano is not aware of what FFRM stands for as the Frankie's Free Range Meat. It's literally his website. The entity in the lawsuit is Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC. This business was started after the events named by plaintiff took place, therefore could not have committed any of these actions. Both plaintiff and judge continued to misname the corporation in attempts to submit fraudulent subpoenas for entities not named in the lawsuit. Judge Judith C. McCarthy is supporting, even enabling attorneys for plaintiff to commit more fraud. Like, this is just silly. Kid Buu, 22 lawyers, best voice actor of all time. Objection to damages and cyber piracy. Frank Tufano did not register a domain name similar to another party's trademark. He literally registered a domain name of his name. Plaintiff Paul Saladino operates under the trademark Carnivore MD and in no way, shape, or form uses his personal name to advertise his business services as the time of this lawsuit. Yeah, he does. Isn't his Instagram handle like Paul Saladino Carnivore MD? He has paulsaladinomd.com. Paul Saladino MD is his Instagram handle. Like, he's fucking retarded. Nor did he register any trademark under his personal name or any name similar to the domain name used by Frank Tufano to host a publicly available YouTube video. Key aspects there, cyber piracy are intent to profit. Frank Tufano did not attempt to sell and did not make any monetary benefit from the domain name. He literally linked to his business. Domain name similarity. Paul Saladino is using the trademark Carnivore MD, which is not similar in any way, shape, or form to paulsaladino.com. He literally has a website, paulsaladinomd.com, and his social media handles have his real name. There's no provable damages to Paul Saladino as a result of this domain registration, nor did Frank Tufano profit in any way. Frank Tufano has only stated material facts and opinions in his YouTube videos. He accused Paul of being a gay child rapist. And his cope for this now is, it's just a joke. Nothing that could be considered defamation or slander. Yeah, calling somebody...
You would know a thing or two about falsely accusing someone of being...
Yeah, calling somebody a gay child rapist is definitely defamation or slander. Plaintiff has not been able to prove that he has lost revenue as he increases his social media following by millions. Frank Tufano following has remained stagnant. Domain name in question posted videos available publicly on YouTube. Therefore, all of these videos and images that are claimed to be infringing are not hosted privately on the domain. They don't need to be. They're viewable on the public domain through YouTube. Plaintiff claims that defendant wanted to tarnish plaintiff's reputation and drive sales for his own business. However, it is clear that the defendant was only trying to defend his own work and research. He never did any research. That was being blatantly and maliciously copied by Paul, which he has no evidence for. And again, he linked to his fucking free-range meat website. Plaintiff and judge continues to infringe Frank Tufano's freedom of speech. Calling somebody a gay child rapist is not protected speech if that's a lie. Unable to prove. So everything that Frank Tufano stated is indeed a matter of fact or his own personal opinion. Personal opinion does not mean you can just call somebody a gay child rapist. Objections to defamation per se. Objections to defamation per se. No other statements made by friend. Oh my God.
So this is like if Tim Hortons bought DunkinDonuts.com and claimed Dunkin' Donuts was a sex trafficking front and linked to Tim Hortons' website saying support a real coffee shop here.
Yeah, basically. Thanks for the donation, Yoshi. Statements made by Frank Tufano have been proven to be defamatory or factually incorrect. That's not... Burden of proof is on Frank, for one thing. Not Paul. So he's basically saying, oh, well, Paul hasn't proven he's not a gay child rapist. Court is taking plaintiff's accusation as a matter of fact when the legal paperwork and default judgment was never served on defendant. He just gave his parents' address and he didn't pick up the mail apparently. Or that's what he's claiming. And the accusations in question were never disputed. The financial records from plaintiff are not even Frank Tufano's business. Another blatant committal of fraud with full support of it by Judge Judith, who has already denied several motions to disqualify as she is biased, has no ability to provide fair and objective court decision. Where does Frank think he's going to get with this? Like directly attacking the judge? Judge Judith C. McCarthy should recommend that the entity LYT Broth LLC
In Kindu no it's none other than Legandri Vosi actress Grey Delal the Vosi of such iconic characters such as Mandy Frankie Foster Vincalzulu and Melinda.
Alright, thanks for the donation, Dodo. Pay the damages as that was the entity used to furnish financial documents. This is a ridiculous, blatant violation of Frank Tufano's freedom of speech. There is no infringement of trademark to his plaintiff. Never owned the trademark, never served default documents to defendant. They did. He just, again, gave the wrong address. Defendant's default cannot be willful if he has never served the paperwork at his residence or domicile. He literally put his parents' address as his business address. Like, Frank is basically saying, like, oh, well, I set my address up in the Ural Mountains, and they sent the documents to the Ural Mountains, but I don't live in the Ural Mountains, so they never served me the documents. Like, it's ridiculous. Plaintiff in the court cannot prove that Frank Tufano was served amended complaint or legal documents without committing perjury and fraud. This is just fucking silly. Objection to conclusion. Plaintiff has not proven any punitive damages. Court has not proved that Frank Tufano has not violated any laws, nor did they serve him with a default judgment. Therefore, Frank Tufano should not be responsible for any fees. No legitimacy to the procedural actions. He's repeating the same argument over and over again because the oath sworn by individuals in the lawsuit to Freemasonry take precedent over any obligation sworn to the United States judicial system. All parties' decisions should be regarded as fraudulent. Where does he think he's going to get with accusations like this? He's accusing them of being part of some, like, fucking secret society. There's no explanation for the judicial representatives to rule in favor of plaintiff unless they have personal obligations and favoritism, which they do. Why else would Paul Saladino be allowed to make millions of dollars off Frank Tufano's life work? And then further ruin his life by getting his Freemason buddy judge to silence the victim? He's just going crazy. Frank Tufano is a victim in this action is being further harassed by the horrific and evil individuals that are in charge of the court system. So again, he's just accusing the judge of being like part of secret society and calling her evil. And again, this isn't going to get him anywhere. Frank Tufano submits a third motion to disqualify Judge Judith C. McCarthy from this case to be determined by a jury of his peers as stated in his amendment rights allowable in the federal court. Oh my God. And this goes on. Summary of argument. This case at hand has broken 3 categories of the judicial process, has not followed the court code of conduct, legal malpractice has occurred, Frank Tufano is being denied his First and Seventh Amendment rights because of this court misconduct, legal malpractice, rights violations. Default judgment has been granted against Frank Tufano and Frankie's Strange Meat LLC. However, the initial default was never properly served. I'm not even going to bother. He's basically just repeating his like fucking stupid nonsense over and over again. Should have been dismissed under anti-slap. Like, this has nothing to do with a slap suit. Torturous interference. In Paul Saladino's intentional and unrelenting pattern of misconduct and litigation abuse, part of his misconduct included serving Frank Tufano's personal family with subpoenas is nothing short of abusive. I think he marked his like mother down as a business owner or his secretary or something. He put his mom as part of his business. And again, we know that he put his parents' address as his business address. So, like, this is the same stupid horseshit that he said in his video. Misuse of Landman Act. Whether Paul Saladino possessed a valid unregistered trademark or not is irrelevant to the context that act was used. Frank Tufano was not using the domain name for business purposes or advertising of any product, even though he linked to his fucking free range meat website. Neither was he squatting the domain name. Frank Tufano was simply using the domain name as an expression of his freedom of speech to demonstrate the wrongdoing. That is just nonsense. Like, again, he accused Paul of being a gay child rapist. Conclusion, there are multiple acts of legal malpractice, court misconduct, blah, blah, blah. So Frank's just completely and utterly lost his mind, and he's fucking retarded. Usual. That's why we love Frank.